Well, Geraint Anderson is here. He was an anonymous city boy who wrote for the London paper when he was a top stock analyst at a major investment bank. You no longer do that, do you?
Nope, given that.
So you can tell us, perhaps in a way that others would not, what was going on. Now, do you think when Gordon Brown was talking about curbing bonuses and the FSA was saying they're writing to these organisations, were they behind the scenes laughing because they knew that they would carry on regardless?
Yeah, I mean, you can't, as a government or a regulator, say we're going to put a cap on bonuses. If you did that in London, all the well-trained, good traders and M&A people, they'd just go to Frankfurt or they'd go to Shanghai or Dubai. So you can't do that. What they can do is encourage banks to make sure there's an alignment between the interest of the shareholders and the interest of the employees by making more longer-term incentives. Because the old system of short-term gambling and greedy gambling that existed was clearly the product of a bonus culture where you only had next year's bonus in your interests, and that I'm afraid helps explain the credit crunch.
So were you suggesting that because you knew that a bonus was coming within 12 months, you only took action to guarantee the short-term health of your company, your bank?
Absolutely. It was a hire and fire world. You didn't know if you'd have a job in 2 or 3 years' time. Therefore, all you ever cared about was next year's bonus. And that actually justified, in my opinion, people giving loans to Americans that they couldn't afford, or indeed passing those loans on to other banks, knowing they'd explode if interest rates went up or the housing bubble burst. So in fact, I believe, and I do notice dear old Gordon Brown and other people at the FSA also seem to agree, that it's the bonus culture that has got us into the trouble we're in. And unfortunately, it's very difficult to change because people don't go in the city for a laugh or, you know, for the good of the planet or to do something creative. They go to make money as quickly as possible.
You know, I can imagine people being a bit angry and a bit confused by the notion that these banks that have gone cap in hand to the government for more money, for whatever reason, for liquidity or whatever, have got money stashed away that they're prepared to give to their employees as bonuses. I mean, how has that been left out of the equation somehow?
Yeah, I mean, bonuses are going to be down about 60% this year, according to most estimates. So someone like me in my position, my last bonus for last year was about 20 times the national average salary. So this time it might be 8 times the national average salary. So it's not going to be too many tears shed. However, banks do want to retain quality staff. So the fact that they've lost a shed load of cash from mortgage-backed securities due to the subprime crisis, people in equities or bonds or government bonds might say, well, it's got nothing to do with me. I still want my cash and I'll move. The problem is their bargaining position ain't what it used to be. When you've got banks that have failed like Lehman's and Bear Stearns, when you've got loads of people looking for jobs, suddenly it's the employer who's in the bargaining position. And that's why, well, it's a good time that I left in February. And it's also, I do have to say, in the book I wrote, I did genuinely say we were going to have a correction and we were going to have big problems. So I hate to say I told you so, but I'm going to anyway.
Geraint, thanks very much.
Cheers.